4 of my craft room makeover. Now, since filming part 3, I've managed to get quite a bit done, so let me show you what I've been up to. So I just want to start by telling you about a little bit of a disaster. So the day after we'd put up the furniture, I came in here and noticed this watermark on the carpet. I don't know if you can pick that up there on camera. But remember when we were decorating and I said that the radiator had come off the wall? Well, it was actually leaking far worse than we thought. So the plumber came out and took the old radiator away, and it was quite bad. And it wasn't just the radiator that had come off the wall, the actual brackets had just completely fallen away. It's quite crumbly. So both brackets were actually just hanging on with one screw, so it was quite bad. So we're waiting for a new radiator. And in the meantime, Matt has gone and patched up the wallpapering that we did, so it looks all nice and neat around there now. And it's really nice having a radiator back there, especially in the winter when I'm sitting here and I can just reach up and put my feet on it. I do tend to get cold feet. And because that carpet is now quite badly stained, I've ordered some vinyl flooring for the room. And it's a light wood, strip wood flooring design, which I think is going to look really nice. And that was £95, including a £20 delivery charge. And I could have got that a bit cheaper, but the lines would have gone that way down the room, and I want them to go down the length of the room. So I could have saved a bit of money, but I know having the wooden flooring strips going that way down the shortest edge of the room would have probably bugged me. So I just spent a little bit extra and got it so that the long edge is coming into the room like that, if you know what I mean. And another little job that Matt did for me was actually to line all of the desk drawers with the wallpaper, which was a really nice little treat. And he also made me this little pot for all of my bulldog clips, which I've got too many of, but I use these for clamping furniture pieces together if I haven't got enough clamps. So I'll pop that back in there. So I just want to start by showing you probably the least exciting changes that I've made, which are in here. And I sorted out all the wallpaper that was sitting on top of this filing cabinet, if you remember. And I've actually kept it all because there were some really nice pieces there, and I didn't want to get rid of anything in case I then wanted to use it in a future project. But I've just sort of very neatly put it all inside this huge sketchbook of Matt's. So it's all sitting in there, keeping nice and flat. And then that's pushed in there, and I can get to that really easily. And then on top of the filing cabinet, I salvaged this huge box that something came in, and I've got all of my pieces of card in there, which I use for packing orders and envelopes and things like that, and that just slides neatly in there. I ordered this metal in tray for my wood. So I've got the different types of wood there and different sizes, and I can just come in here and pull a piece out, so that's really easy. And this tray was about £15, and I wanted a metal one because it's really sturdy, but I think you could use this idea and just buy the less expensive plastic trays that you can get, and they would work just as well. And then down here I've cut down some postal tubes, and I've got all of my strip wood, 2 different sizes in each tube there, and then skirting and things like that, and then a mixture of pieces in here, wooden flooring, my hinges for my doll's house, and all bits like that that I want to keep, and my trays that I put things on when I'm painting, just tucked in there. So that's all a lot better and so much easier to get to things. If you remember at the start that I just had that big blue box filled with wood, and that was stacked in the corner, and one of the things I wanted to prevent was having anything on the floor, and I've now got that lovely clear area there. So I can just come in, go to the wardrobe, I haven't got to climb over things or fall over things, knock things over, so it's so much better. So I'll just sort of work my way around the room now and show you what else I've done. And we finally got around to sorting out our books, and that was quite difficult. I don't know about you, but if I've read a book and really enjoyed it, I don't like letting it go. So I have kept probably more than I needed to, but we did get rid of a whole load, and that filled a really massive crate. So now we've just got this really nice tidy bookcase, which Matt says looks like we're going into Ottokar's. And no sort of books all piled on top and other things all just sort of piled on there. So I'm really pleased with how that looks. And then I've managed to clear the top as well, and I've got some of my projects up there. And that bistro was always just stuck out in the dining room, and my sheds were on the window ledge, but I couldn't see them or get to them, so that's nice having those up there. And then I've just got a sort of section here which is all of my craft books, doll's house books and things like that. So if I need anything like that, they're all in that one section there. And we did have to lay a few down just because these Robert Opie books, I'll have to show you those in another episode. They're really lovely. They're called scrapbooks, and I've got the wartime scrapbook, Victorian, Edwardian and 1950s, and they're just really fantastic reference books if you like sort of decorating your doll's house in different eras. So I highly recommend those, and they do more than that as well. I'd like to collect all of them. Now you may remember that I had all of my wood scraps in those tins. So I got a pack of 5 of these, take that one off there, storage boxes, and I think it was about £15, so pretty good value for this sort of thing. And these measure 330mm by 200mm, that's 13 inches by 8 inches, so a really good size as well. And I got 5, but I'm using 4 because for those sort of few odd bits there, which are all odd sizes, I didn't really need a huge box. I've got another one of those spare, which I've already got an idea for having as a sort of bits box. Now I know I said I didn't want anything on the floor, but I go in and out of these quite regularly, so I wanted them somewhere to hand. And when I get that worktop, that will come over probably to about there. So they'll sort of be tucked under the worktop as well and tucked out of the way. And I think as well, because they're uniform, they don't look too messy like all those sort of different sized tins did with all the lids falling off. Okay, so I've put the drawer unit back on the edge of the desk there. Now that was only really for this filming because I've had it tucked over by the window where it's a bit more secure, where it's actually got a wall to lean against. Here it hasn't, so it's a bit wobbly. But again, once the worktop's there, the worktop will go right back to the wall and come out a lot further, so that will stand in that corner and can lean against the wall. And I'm still going to be spray painting it white, and I'm really looking forward to doing that. To sort out the drawers. I'll take all the drawers out, go and get the spray paint on, and then I can come back in and sort all of these out. And I did start doing it because I don't know if that's focusing in on that, but I've sort of started 2.5mm knobs, 3mm knobs, brass handles, taps, hinges, etc. And I want to do that for the whole lot. And also over the years I've just sort of put things back anywhere. So that needs a good sorting out, and I'm looking forward to doing that. Now, this little notebook I normally keep in a drawer, but I just got it out here because I wanted to show you. And I must have bought this probably about 2 or 3 years ago in WH Smith's because it was on offer one New Year. And look how similar that is to the wallpaper. And that's my sort of ideas book, and I always have it to hand. And then whenever I sort of something pops into my head that I'd like to try, I write it in there. Now this I've been wanting to get for quite a while, and this is a pink cutting mat, and it really does pick out the pink in the wallpaper. And a lady on YouTube had sort of said, be careful when you're filming because it might not be as nice a background for the video, so I will test that out first before I just sort of start filming any more tutorials using this mat. But if I turn that over, it has got this lovely pale grey underside, and grey is a really nice background colour for photographs and videos, so if the pink doesn't look too good on camera, I'll use the grey. And then what I've done there as well, I've kept my old cutting mat, which I'll use for cutting, just because I don't want to ruin this one. Not yet anyway. I want to keep it looking nice and smooth like that, and I think that will look nicer in videos as well. I also got my new chair, which I'm really pleased with. And until I got this, I hadn't realised how bad my old one was. It had gone so soft and spongy, it was more like a rocking chair, so I wasn't leaning back on it properly, and I was getting quite a lot of lower back pain, and that's obviously why. But now I can sit back in this one, it's really comfortable, and I've got it adjusted just right. And that came from Viking, and that was £75. But like I said to you last time, I had put that into my budget because I really did need a new chair. And I think it's important, especially if you're sitting for long periods of time, that you do have a nice comfortable chair that you can sit right back in and support your back. So that's that. And then this desk tidy, again in the pink, and it's a mesh one, so it's really sturdy. And I can get everything in there now. I used to have all my cocktail sticks and things standing at the front. I've now got room for my scribe, my tweezers, and things that I sort of use quite regularly. Now that's just on that corner for now, but once that I keep calling this a laptop, once the worktop arrives, it will come back a further sort of 6 inches, so I can have that sitting back there. So then I'll have all that lovely room at the side of my cutting mat free for my pattern books and notebooks and what have you. And on that same theme, I got a magazine file here, again in the pink, and I've got my own books in there. And I like seeing them there, makes me feel very proud. There's room for one more in there, so I better get started on book 6. But I do refer to them quite often as well. I like using the conversion chart in there, and occasionally I do remake some of the projects. So that's there. My lamp won't stay there. It will go back over there when I've got more room. Obviously it makes more sense being there next to my cutting mat, but I've just sort of stuck it there for now to get it out of the way. Flowers from our garden, which I arranged this morning. You probably think it sounds silly, but I've just always wanted to have flowers in here. But this window ledge was always just bunged up with, well, with anything really, anything that I couldn't find a home for. I just used to stick it on there. But I think just having the flowers on there, and then one of my projects, and I've got one of my sheds on there at the moment, my little craft shed. But then I can rotate my sheds and have a different one on there. And it's just nice when you sort of sit back for a moment or with your cup of tea to sort of have a look at one of your projects. So I really like that. Then I put my picture back on the wall up there, and this is the first magazine article I ever did, and this was in the Doll's House and Miniature Scenes Project magazine, which comes out once a year. And it featured my beach themed living room. So I just like that being there, as it's sort of a reminder of where it all started. I was still working when I did that article, and I was so delighted to be accepted into a magazine. And it was probably a year and a half after that that I took the plunge and left work to set up my own business. So that's a really nice little reminder of that time. I also bought this new storage unit, and this is for my tools. Really pleased with this. And I got this from eBay and it was £22, which again I thought was quite a good price. It is plastic, but it's really sturdy, and it's got wheels at the back. So let me just show you how that wheels out of there. So that wheels out like that. You just slightly lift the front legs, and it's got the wheels on the back there, and that's really light and easy to move around. And I actually didn't think I'd have enough room in here for my tools because it was only 3 drawers, but there's plenty of room. So everything out of my toolbox went easily in here. And I've just done it so that I've got all the sort of heavier tools in the bottom drawer there. Miter cutters and things like that. And then the slightly smaller bits in this second drawer here. And as you can see, it's all easy to get to, so it's not all sort of piled on top of each other. And then things that would have been rolling around I've put into a smaller box. That's my chisels and files there. And then in this top drawer, again, I've sorted all of my mini clamps into a separate box. Now the paintbrushes are in a bit of a mess, and I didn't know whether to get some pots to actually sit on top of my desk, or maybe I'll look for another storage box like this, something thin to go in there. I just actually had an idea, like a plastic cutlery tray might work, and I could sort of sort them into the sections in there. And in each of the drawers I've got 2 or 3 packs of this silica gel, and that just stops things from getting damp. And you get these in things like shoes, pairs of shoes and things, so if you ever get any of those, just keep hold of them and chuck them in your toolbox, and that will make sure your tools don't get damp. Now I was going to buy some more of that toolbox liner, you know, that sort of rubbery liner stuff, but Matt suggested that we'll probably have some vinyl flooring left over that I could put in there, and that just stops everything from rolling around. So that was that. Now the only thing left to sort is my stock wood. So this is the wood that I sell in my Etsy shop. So to get to that I have to pull out the toolbox, which isn't too much of a problem, but then I have to move the containers here with the strip and dowel in, and then take out these trays. And the whole purpose of the room was to make it easier to get to things, so I'm going to have to think of another solution for that. But I might get a couple more of those mesh trays, and then I could have them on the shelves next to my chair, going the other way. I can't fit these trays that way on the shelf, and I don't want the wood loose on there. So that was the only thing really that I need to sort, and then on these shelves I can just keep things that I don't need to get to that often. Like I've got a couple of room boxes down there which I don't need to get to, so they'll still come in handy for storage. Pop those back in. It's so lovely working in here now. For one thing, it's so much brighter and I can move around. I was beginning to feel sort of really constricted in here. Every time I went back in my chair I bumped into something. I was forever looking for spaces to lodge things or put things while paint dried and things like that, and now I've got all that lovely room on that second desk. So it really has made a big difference to my working day, and I absolutely love it. I love coming in here. So I really hope you've enjoyed this update episode. So the next job is getting the vinyl flooring down, and we really wanted to wait until the new radiator's installed before we do that, so we can take up this carpet and let the floor dry out a bit. It's just concrete under there, so I don't know what damage that water leak would have done, so we'll have to address that as well. And then the worktop is arriving next Monday. So when I ordered that, that was a 5-week delivery time because I asked for it to be cut as well. So that will be here next week, and it will be really good to get that on so that I can then position everything where I want it. So that's it for today. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.